Can we have everyone please take your seats? Give me 1 second. I know you're all so excited to see all your fellow alum, but please take your seats. And as you get settled in, let's welcome Orange Appeal to the stage. Take it away.
I don't want to see
I've been obsessed with that Queen movie. Right? Have y'all been watching Bohemian Rhapsody like over and over and over again? How about one more round of applause for Orange Peel? Good evening. Just want to make a quick note. I know that it's probably a little bit warm in here. Is everyone feeling that? You won't be saying that in 2 months from now. We are getting the AC on, and it will be cooled off here in a moment. Let me just say, this is such an amazing day here at Syracuse University with the Barton Center opening, the Barton Center at the Arch opening. Tim Green's jersey is going to be retired tomorrow evening. There's just so many great things and wonderful things happening. And then there's that little football game. Right now the score is 0-0. Yes. And no, I cannot. People keep saying, we need you to suit up. No, you do not. Thank you. I said to someone earlier today, actually several people, that I was not mature enough for this job this evening as the MC of this illustrious evening. And then when I get up here and I see some of the people sitting in the front, I feel even more intimidated. But then there's Carl Jenkins, one of my old teammates, and then I feel really comfortable. And sitting next to him, Barry Wells, the man who babysat me as a kid. So once again. So, good evening. And welcome to our Syracuse University Alumni Award celebration, the highlight of Orange Central Homecoming and Reunion Weekend. For those of you who haven't had the pleasure to meet me, and I can't say it's always that great of a pleasure, I am Don McPherson, and it is an honor to be your Master of Ceremonies this evening. It is difficult to put into words how much this university, our university, means to me. And as an Arents Award recipient myself, I am humbled by those that we honor here this evening. Tonight is about going beyond the ordinary to celebrate extraordinary as we mark Syracuse University's sesquicentennial. I knew I was going to mess that up. Sesquicentennial. You know, I found out in practicing for that, it's better if you whisper it. Sesquicentennial. Year. We will recognize the best of Syracuse University across generations. Tonight, we celebrate 150 years of impact. Tonight, we celebrate what it means to be Orange. To the Syracuse University trustees who are spending the evening with us, thank you. You exemplify extraordinary as you lead our great university. I also want to thank the awards committee of the Syracuse University Alumni Association Board for the time and effort you put into selecting tonight's honorees from an impressive list of nominations. Many of our past award recipients are seated among you this evening. Will all former Arents, Eggers, Generation Orange, and Outstanding Alumni Award honorees please stand or wave? Thank you all for joining us this evening. I also want to give a special welcome to all of our reunion classes, in particular, members of the classes of 1969 and 1959 who are celebrating their 50th and 60th reunions respectively. Absolutely. A huge thank you goes to the reunion committees for those two classes and the classes of 1994, 2009, 1984, and 1975. The 1984 class is celebrating their first ever 35th reunion this weekend. Would the members of all of our reunion classes please stand or wave to be recognized? Let's also recognize the Syracuse University Alumni Association board members, alumni club leaders, and young alumni who make up the Generation Orange Leadership Council for being here this evening. Thank you all for being tremendous Orange ambassadors. And finally, I'd like to extend a special welcome to all the current students in the room tonight. We hope the evening serves as a reminder that once you are Orange, you are forever Orange. It is now my distinct honor to introduce Syracuse University's 12th Chancellor and President, Kent Syverud.
I gotta talk about Don a little bit first. I thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight. Our university is celebrating its 150th birthday year. I've been boning up on history those 150 years, and it really is an amazing history of fearless firsts. And I really think one of them, and an exemplar of them, is this gentleman standing right next to me. I want you to know that when I say gentleman in this case, it's not a title, it's a concise and precise description of this man. And I'm so grateful that he has done so much. He's been honored with the Arents for contributions to the university and for his pioneering use of work to use the appeal of sports to address complex social issues. He's been on campus working on that this weekend, as usual, helping. Tomorrow, at 1 o'clock, he's going to be at the bookstore, is that right? The bookstore, he's going to be talking about and sharing his newest book, which is called You Throw Like a Girl, The Blind Spot of Masculinity, at 1 o'clock at the bookstore, in case you all want to be there at 1 o'clock at the bookstore. It's a book that explores themes of masculinity and gender-based violence prevention, which he has been helping me and many of us at the university work on for the last couple of years. It's an honor to share any stage with Don McPherson. So I just want to say thank you. Now he gets to walk off. Our honorees tonight attended Syracuse University in different generations, and they come from very different backgrounds, as Syracuse University students always do. They have varied professions, and they have one thing in common. They are people who have thought independently, I hope partly because of what they received at Syracuse, and they have then become true pioneers. Each one of them followed his or her heart, and each one of them has blazed a unique path to success. And so each of them, in my humble opinion, is themselves a fearless first. Dr. Alicia Carroll was a first-generation college student who became the only female plastic and reconstructive eye surgeon exclusively practicing her specialty in the state of North Carolina. Mary Cotter began her career in the cable industry in 1978 when she was 10 years old. And when the infrastructure of cable television was just being built, indeed it was just in the imagination of all of us who were used to 3 channels and PBS. And she's been named one of Cable World Magazine's most powerful women in cable twice. As a 7-year-old, Sean McDonough dreamed of being the voice of the Boston Red Sox. And like so many of you, he came to Syracuse to follow his dream, and he broadcast the Red Sox for 16 years, and he became the youngest man in history to broadcast the World Series. It's an amazing history. Ron Goldfarb started college at 16, and in 1956 became the youngest person ever admitted to the New York bar, and of course on to a glorious career in law. Joanne Goldfarb wanted to be an architect, and she persisted in this even after being rejected by colleges that told her that architect study would be wasted on a woman. And she, of course, became an award-winning architect. Joshua Aviv is revolutionizing how electric vehicle owners take long trips, and his amazing startup company has won a $1 million competition. Kevin Belbey is a former head manager of the Syracuse men's basketball team, and he built on that experience now, among about 43 other things he's doing, to become the general manager of Boeheim's Army, which is a team of former Syracuse basketball players. Which you should all go watch this coming year when they're going to win the tournament. Our first ever Military and Veteran Award recipient for Syracuse University, with its glorious history, of fearless verse in this space is Don Waful, who fought in World War II for our country, who was captured. He then escaped from an Axis prisoner of war camp and had many adventures, which became subject of a great movie with Frank Sinatra in it. He served as president of the Syracuse Chiefs. I'm supposed to say now Syracuse Mets. He was president of the Syracuse Chiefs for 35 years. Don passed away yesterday at the age of 103. And Don Waful was my friend. I offer my deepest condolences to his family, to his friends, and to everyone who knew him and had the privilege to know him. He very much wanted to be here tonight. He also very much wanted to beat Clemson tomorrow. I want you to know that every single person I've just named, including Don, has manifested courage and imagination and tenacity. And that's what we hope to instill in every student here, everyone who attends this school or benefits from its programs that benefit more than 100,000 non-degree students every year as well. As we honor these people tonight, as we honor their fearless verse, I challenge the next generation of the Orange family to be inspired by their example and to be like them in the sense that each of them, in my view, always goes orange. So I really thank you.
You know, one of the things that you get the chance to do as someone like myself, who, as an alum who comes back to campus, is spend some time with the Chancellor. And I can honestly say that I don't know that I've met a more thoughtful listener than this Chancellor. And he's taken the time to hear some things that sometimes are hard to hear some things that are not things that we all grew up thinking about. And so my job is always to push the envelope on where we should be going in society on certain issues. And he has been extraordinary in the way that he listens and takes in information. It's been just so impressive. And he is the visionary leader, and his words do certainly inspire us all. I'd now like to welcome James Kidder, President of Syracuse University Alumni Association Board of Directors and Syracuse University Trustee, to join me on the stage. James?
Thank you, Don, for that kind introduction. I think we'd all agree here tonight that, Don, you should have won that Heisman Trophy in 1987. It's a privilege to lead the Syracuse University Alumni Association Board and to be with all of you this evening. As a graduate of the College of Law, I never had the Syracuse University undergraduate experience, but that doesn't mean that my orange bond is any looser. As my wife and my daughter, who are in the audience tonight, will tell you, I bleed orange, and I am immensely proud to be orange. Even though I did decide to settle in the Orange County, California area after experiencing Syracuse winters, I loved every part of my law school experience. Our alumni board is uniquely positioned as we commence Syracuse University's sesquicentennial year. I've challenged our board to look at what we're doing well, to look what we can do better, and what we may need to change entirely. I'm particularly interested in how we capture the passion that all of us feel for our alma mater, and to turn that passion into connectivity. I want to ensure that every alum truly understands what it means to be forever orange. And I hope that all of you tonight will join me in that quest. Thank you for being here tonight, and I hope you enjoy the show. Go Orange.
Thank you, James. It's now time for our awards presentations to begin. I feel particularly honored to serve as your MC tonight because we're introducing a new award, as you heard the Chancellor say, and the recipient is one who hardly needs any introduction. The Chancellor spoke of him earlier, Don Waful, and about his passing. And so this is a particular heartfelt award for one of our own who was our oldest living alumnus at 103 years old, and we know that he is watching down on us. And the honor that he was to receive this evening is the University Military Veteran Award, honors a U.S. military service member or veteran alum who has distinguished his or herself through exceptional meritorious service in the military and or in their post-service careers. Tonight's inaugural recipient has done both. The idea for this award came from Syracuse University Alumni Association's Board Awards Committee and in partnership with the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. As we talk about Don in this evening, and we know that he is watching over us this evening, his story is best told with the video.
Well, I had a lot of good young friends that we were all single guys. Most of them, half a dozen of fellas, they were all Syracuse graduates except one. And it came 1940, Uncle Sam decided he was gonna, it was time we did something about this war, which was on a year at that time. So they passed the Draft Act, and we were eligible big time for the draft. So we said, well, we're gonna get into this war somehow, sometime, because it was inevitable.
And he enlisted and was stationed at Fort Drum, which at the time was known as Pine Camp. And he was sent to officer training school following Pearl Harbor, and he finished officer training school as a second lieutenant, and then he was part of the invasion in North Africa.
Well, I was there 32 days, and they sent me on a crazy assignment. I got, me and my 8 men, we got captured by the Germans, and it was, well, we got captured by the Germans about 20 miles from the city of Tunis.
He actually picked up a blank notebook while he was in North Africa, and then he was able to keep it with him throughout his capture. And for the time that he was a POW in Italy, he kept a journal just describing things that were happening, things that he was doing.
Don has seen so much that people can never understand. Don was a prisoner of war.
And there were big articles from the Syracuse newspaper about Don and his capture and then his release and then his coming home, and his marrying Cassie, which was a story which of course has been made into a musical and you know, it's legendary.
While he was in the war and during the war, I think he felt very strongly his separation from his homeland, this area, and I think when he came back, he totally immersed himself in it, and in some respects, I think it's a token of thanks that he wasn't forgotten and that he was able to come back and make a life. But I also think that's basically the kind of person he is.
Loyal. He's loyal to his church. He's loyal to Syracuse University. He's loyal to the Syracuse baseball team. He's loyal to his trombone.
It's this man's life that spans 103 years, and it spans going to Syracuse University, and it spans a love story, and it spans music, and it spans baseball, and it spans all of the stuff that he does for the rescue mission and the United Way and the YMCA for all these years, quietly behind the scenes, just making a difference.
It's amazing the life that he led through that, and his fortitude, his desire to do the right things, to get through unbelievable situations. And that probably helped him later on in life with all his treatment of people on the boards, neighbors, friends, and relatives.
In a way, he embodies all the things that we're trying to teach our students. The whole notion of critical thinking, teamwork, problem solving, effective communication.
And there's so many people, both at Syracuse University and in the broader community, that he means a lot to them.
When you value your country and you're called upon, so you just do what you have to do, and you don't think you can do it, but you do what you have to do. And there's a pretty good feeling about it. If you survive it, there's a good feeling about it.
Vice Chancellor Haynie, will you please present your honoree?
So that video captured only a fraction of what Don meant to Syracuse University and this community. It was my own honor to know Don and to call Don a friend. All of us who work every day on behalf of veterans were devastated to learn of Don's passing. Tonight, all of our deepest condolences go to Don's family, who are here with us tonight on the loss of a true hero. In honor of his military service and his devotion to Syracuse University and to his country, we're proud to honor Don Waful posthumously with the 2019 Military Veteran Alumni Award. Before Don passed, he prepared remarks for this evening, which I will now share with you. Don wrote, "I am truly honored to be here tonight and would like to take this opportunity to thank just some of the people at our university who have been so good to me over the years. Namely, I would like to thank the Alumni Association, the administration, and of course, Chancellor Syverud for having me here tonight. I am proud to receive this award, the first of its kind here at Syracuse. I want to thank the IVMF leadership who have made the program a national leader in the care and education of veterans and their families. It is something that all of us here at Syracuse University can be proud of. I know it makes me very proud personally. I also want to take a moment to thank Pete Sala. I haven't missed a game at the Dome since its construction, and for years, Pete has been responsible for getting me 2 games, sending someone to pick me up, to bring me home after the game, even after the losses. Thank you, Pete, very much. We have a big game tomorrow against Clemson in what has become a nice rivalry recently. I would like to leave you all with a very short story surrounding the once fierce rivalry between Syracuse and Colgate. It was fierce until 1951, when we started beating them every year. Colgate had had enough by 1961 and elected to end the rivalry. Well, I had the pleasure of being friendly with Chancellor Tully at the time, and he was a true gentleman, and I have never forgotten his response to Colgate's decision. Tully said, "Mediocrity is easy enough to achieve without making it your primary objective." Let that sink in for a second. As it happens, Colgate plays Syracuse next year in the first game under the new roof of the Dome. I hope to see you there. Thank you again for this great honor. Congratulations, Don.
Well, if you can't be here tonight, we better go out and beat Clemson tomorrow. At this time, I'd like to invite Katie Hoole, President of the Generation Orange Leadership Council and member of the class of 2013, to the stage. Katie will present this evening's Generation Orange Awards.
Thank you, Don. It is so exciting to be a part of this awards ceremony this evening. Created by the Alumni Board 6 years ago, the Generation Orange Award recognized graduates of the last 10 years, who we proudly refer to as Generation Orange. We recognize young alumni who have made an impact on campus and in their communities through their volunteer work and philanthropy on behalf of SU. And so, in recognition of your mission to prepare the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders and your passion for inspiring Syracuse University students, we are proud to present Josh Aviv with the 2019 Generation Orange Award. Josh is the founder of Spark Charge, a company that specializes in portable charging of electric cars. It is a company he launched while a student at Syracuse University. Please join me on stage to accept your award.
Wow, I'm super honored to be here tonight. Thank you everybody for coming out, and thank you to everybody here who supported us. When I first came to Syracuse University, I started working at Maxwell. I would wake up at 6:30 in the morning and go and clean all the dry erase boards, go turn on all the computers. Waking up at 6:30 in the morning and walking through the snow, walking through all the debris from the night before, it really instilled a spirit of hard work in me. I'd like to thank today not only the Maxwell ICT team that instilled that hard work and dedication in me. I'd also like to thank my friends and family who came out, my fiance and my sister who made the trip here today for this award. I would also like to thank Blackstone Launchpad and Linda Hartsock. I love Linda just like she was my own mom. I spent hours in Blackstone Launchpad preparing and writing business plans, applying to pitch competitions. Without Blackstone Launchpad, there would be no Spark Charge, and that's simply how it is. I'd also like to thank my two co-founders who I met here at Syracuse University. A lot of you guys don't know, but I was able to persuade Christopher Ellis from leaving Lockheed Martin to come work at a startup that only had one person, which was myself. And he was able to convince Richard Whitney to leave ICM Controls to come work for a startup which had two people, which was me and Chris. So that was very good. I'd like to thank all of our alumni who supported us along the way on our amazing journey. I hope that we can continue to make you proud, continue to make you happy, and let's keep Spark Charge going. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. While it's certainly not a competition, I'd challenge any of you in this room to find an alumnus who bleeds orange more than the alum I'm about to welcome to the stage. He has 3 degrees from Syracuse, is a talent agent, and created Boeheim's Army. And he's on the Generation Orange Leadership Council. In recognition of your tremendous passion for Syracuse University and your commitment to all things orange, we are proud to present Kevin Belbey with the 2019 Generation Orange Award. Please join me on stage to accept your award.
Wow, this is awesome. Thank you, Chancellor Syverud, Dr. Chen, Don, and Katie so much. I was thinking a lot about my time at Syracuse today, and it was 10 years ago this fall when I was a freshman here for the first time on campus. And I think like everybody in this room, this place is so special to me. And some of my favorite things here have always been the Dome, Syracuse basketball, and Newhouse. But I got to say, I think if I was a student here today, the crane might be in the top 3. That thing's pretty cool. It's got its own Instagram account, I heard. But on a serious note, like I said, this school is so special. And, from the first day, I realized the reason why this school is special is because of the people. I came here like every other 18-year-old trying to find their way, and there was always somebody to extend their hand to me. Whether it was Jim Boeheim and Mike Hopkins, who allowed me to be part of the men's basketball program as a student manager, or Gideon Cohen, who's a Newhouse alum, who allowed me to pick his brain on his career, wound up hiring me, or even, to this day, my boss, Sandy Montag, is here tonight. It's really has always been, to me, the people that make this place special, and all I'm trying to do is pay it forward, and I think that's, a mission we can all get behind to make it even better going forward. So before I leave the stage, I just want to thank my parents who are here tonight, my mom and my dad. Love you guys, and wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much, and go Orange. Beat Clemson.
Congratulations once again to Joshua and Kevin. As our award show continues, I'd like to introduce one of my favorite people who bleed orange that you'll ever meet. You know, some people think that Neil Gold bleeds orange. I was in a meeting this afternoon with Brian Kunkel, Dean of Hendricks Chapel, and we were both talking about this next person I'm about to introduce, Carla and Doug Allen, and we both had the same joke in our head at the same time, that people think that Neil Gold bleeds orange. Well, Carla and Doug said, "Hold my beer." These two got married in Hendricks Chapel, and Otto was the ring bearer. You don't get much more orange than that. Carla Allen is a 1987 graduate of the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications and the College of Arts and Sciences. She was chair of the awards committee that worked so diligently to select tonight's honorees. So please join me in welcoming Carla to the stage.
Thank you, Don. 1987 was a pretty good year, wasn't it? Tonight, I have the honor of presenting two most distinguished alumni with the Melvin A. Eggers Senior Alumni Award. It is the first time we have bestowed the Eggers Award on an alumni couple. The Goldfarbs have storied careers in architecture and law while staying deeply connected to their alma mater. In fact, they recently donated their family library to Syracuse University's College of Law. Thank you for that. Many members of the family are in attendance tonight and are Syracuse University alumni themselves, so we welcome you as well. Established more than 3 decades ago by Chancellor Emeritus William Tolley, the award was created out of his deep respect for Melvin Eggers. It honors alumni whose leadership and service to society has been joined with loyalty and service to Syracuse University, and is presented to those alumni who have graduated more than 50 years ago from Syracuse University. Dean Boyce and Dean Speaks, will you please escort your honorees to the stage?
In honor of her steadfast service to Syracuse University, I'm pleased to present Joanne Goldfarb with the Eggers Award.
And in honor of his steadfast commitment to Syracuse University, I am pleased to honor Ronald Goldfarb with the Eggers Award.
We feel very honored to receive the Chancellor Eggers Award. One goal of education is to inspire you to learn and to learn to teach yourself. Syracuse provided us with just those tools, and we were lucky to have chosen fields that sustained our lifelong interests. Our educations here provided us with the tools we needed to do just that. It was 1952 when I received a letter of rejection from Cornell because, as it stated, theirs was a small professional school and they preferred to accept only those who would use the education. Lucky for me, Syracuse did not share that limited view of women's possibilities. Two of us graduated in the class of '57, and I might add, I have been in practice for more than 60 years and completed hundreds of projects, and I still feel that each one is a fresh and interesting challenge. I also thank Syracuse for Ron. We met here and spent a lot of time on Marshall Street, at the Dutch Haven, and other places. Together we designed many houses. We've enjoyed that, and we've had 3 great children whom we adore, and of course all the grandchildren as well. They have luckily decided to join us here for this event, which we are so pleased about. Another architect once asked me, how do you develop good clients? My reply was, grow them at home. They have all proved that that was good advice, and they have proved also to be that and much more. Thank you again. We are so honored to receive this award.
So I'm going to quote Rafa Nadal. I was asked to keep it to a few minutes by somebody who doesn't know that Washington lawyers can't clear their throat in 3 minutes. So instead of giving a speech of my own, I decided to quote a few lines from America's great playwright, Arthur Miller, in a play that I saw performed twice in New York and read. And there's a scene in there that captures what's in my heart today. Oh my God, I hope I didn't forget it. Willie Loman, the salesman, wants his sons to know about life, so he asks his brother Ben to talk to the boys. And Ben says, in lines that I still echo in my ear, I went into the jungle at 17, and I came out at 21 a rich man. And Willie says, see, great things can happen. Well, I think of it now because I came into Syracuse at 16, knowing nothing about anything. Unlike my wife, who had the credentials, there was a gamble on me. In fact, I think I was on a wait list, and my father, bless him, said, we don't wait for anything. Drove up here, said, go talk to the dean. And I did, and I said, the dean said, what can I do for you? I said, give me a semester, and if I'm not good enough, throw me out. And so to jump from that conversation to this is a particular joy. My heart is filled. I met my life partner here. I got to the law school and fell in the thrall of the law that's never left me. Still practicing. I keep telling people till I get good. But in the meantime, thank you all for this terrific honor. My heart is filled. Thank you to my family. And the 2 people who did so much to me, for me, they're in the cloud now, but thank you again.
Thank you, Joanne and Ronald. It's now time to bestow Syracuse University's highest alumni honor on 3 deserving recipients. The Arents Award is named for George Arents, a successful manufacturer who served on the university's Board of Trustees for 3 decades. A fund he endowed in 1939 allows us to recognize Syracuse University's alumni for their extraordinary achievements. And if you're doing the math in your head, this is the 80th anniversary of the Arents Award. The physical award was created for the university by Peter Yanawine, a member of the class of '69, who is here this weekend celebrating his 50th class reunion. Let the presentation begin.
I remember telling my parents over breakfast when I was 6 years old, when I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor. And that's pretty much where it started. I was the first person in my family to attend college, and they were very proud. When I applied to Syracuse, of all the schools that I applied to, I really felt that they really wanted me as a student.
Certainly Dr. Carroll did not have an easy path. She's a first-generation student. She came to Syracuse in a program that was designed to assist students who were not advantaged, who were not privileged. And so she had to work hard. She had to work harder than most of her peers in order to be successful.
And I remember calling home and saying, "Dad, this is a really big place." And his reply was, "Make it not so." At that point, started meeting my advisors and getting to know my professors better. And it then became a very small place because I had created within it a family.
Every once in a while, you'll find a budding star, someone who will stand out. And Alicia Carroll was one of those students.
When I attended Syracuse, it was strongly encouraged that I take classes outside of science and math, and I enjoyed them so much, and I do believe have impacted my entrepreneurial spirit. I love coming to work every day because I'm doing exactly what I set out to do. A patient comes in, they have a problem. We fix the problem.
What's special about Dr. Carroll as a medical practitioner is the care she provides for her patients. She's very compassionate, she's smart, she knows what she's doing, she's got the whole package.
We diagnose a lot of skin cancers on the face and around the eyes, and so I know if I send a patient to her office, they will be well cared for.
When I decided to become a doctor, I wanted to give access to everyone, not just the people who could afford it, but to everyone. And I wanted everyone to enjoy the same experience.
To maintain patient care, to maintain her level of skill and provide what patients need, in addition to running a practice, managing a practice in today's modern, tightly regulated world, it would seem insurmountable and not many people would do it. So for her to take that on is truly a representation of her spirit.
I didn't get here by myself, and I feel it is my job to help the next person. So I participate on numerous boards, and I have for many years. The community theater boards, the College of Arts and Sciences Dean's Advisory Board, Lenore Ryan's Board of Visitors. And I feel what I bring to the table is a non-traditional approach to the thought process around people in general of color and female in general. I'm not that far removed from some of the challenges. I'm only one generation away.
I think Dr. Carroll has been able to take the experience which she learned at Syracuse, her activities, her involvements, and continue that in her professional career. She gives back to her alma mater as well as her community. And that's part of Alicia Carroll, who she is, and she's a great role model for any young person.
I remain connected to Syracuse University because they've become my surrogate family. They've given me an opportunity to make them proud.
Dean Ruhlandt, would you please present your honoree?
Chancellor Syverud, it is my great honor to present Dr. Alicia Carroll, class of 1988, for the 2019 George Arents Award for Excellence in Medicine.
Wow. I just need a second. That was the first time I saw that video, so for those of you who don't know, it was my first time seeing that. And to tell you how authentic it is, much of my speech is in that video. So I'm now trying to edit it out in my mind so that I don't keep you here too long. First, I want to give thanks to God for this epic moment in my life. And tonight, I accept this award on behalf of my father because it is his story that deserves the honor. I am reminded of a quote that he said to me often. He would say, "Be careful, young lady, what you set your sights on, for surely one day it shall be yours." At age 6, as you learned in the video, I informed him and my mom that I was going to be a doctor. I don't know what he saw in me at the time, but he just simply replied, "Mm-hmm."
And he repeated, "Be careful what you set your sights on, young lady, for surely it will be yours." And I think he might have been saying that because he was going to prepare himself to work tirelessly to help me reach my dreams. At age 18, I set my sights on Syracuse University, and it was to become mine. The day he brought me here was really an interesting day because it was the first time that he or I had stood on a college campus, except it was the first time that our paths would diverge. He left me with the basic necessities, but he left me with 3 other things: money and 2 maps, one of New York State and the second of Syracuse University. You see, my father was a truck driver, and he was of the opinion, to quote him, "Young lady, you must always have money in your pocket, and you must know where you stand in this world." So after he left, I took out my SU map and I started going all over campus, and I kid you not, I went everywhere except South Campus. The farther I walked, the more overwhelmed I had become. You see, I didn't know one person at this university. When I got back to my dorm, I called him, and probably for the first time in his life, he heard the nervousness in my voice. And I said to him, "Dad, this is a really big place." I can only imagine what went through his mind, because here he left his daughter alone. He didn't leave that much money in my pocket, let's be clear, without he nor I knowing anyone. He didn't teach me or give me the spirit of fear, yet he was some 300-400 miles away, hearing it in my voice. But being the person that he was, he didn't give me an out. He said, "Honey, yes, it is a big place, but go and make it not so." Dean Wells, you were my dean at the time and my advisor. Yours was the first call that I made. You asked me to schedule an appointment, and I did exactly that. I probably marched in your office with far too much perfume on and lipstick that I didn't yet know how to apply well. And I remember sitting down saying to you, "I'm Alicia Carroll, and I want to be a doctor. How do I do this thing?" And I remember well what you said. You said, "If you work hard, it can happen." So if my dad were here tonight, Dean Wells, he would say thank you. Thank you for the guidance and the wise counsel that you had given me, not just freshman year, but all 4 years while here at the university. He would say, "Thank you for not discouraging my little girl. You see, you didn't ask her what her plan B was, because in my household, I had already instructed her that plan B was for those students who were unwilling to do plan A." Dr. James Dua Ajiman, where are you? You were my calculus professor. And if my dad were here tonight, he would say, "Sir, you had no idea how much my daughter hates numbers." He would say, "Dr. Dua Ajiman, thank you for making calculus an undaunting subject for her. Because she didn't know at the time that she really did need it, even if she protested that no doctor needs that theory." You said to her in a calm manner, much like he would have said to me, "It's the story of life, Alicia." And in speaking to her in that way, she removed all the numbers which she hated and replaced them with people. Calculus made sense then, and she later found out that she needed it, not just as a reconstructive surgeon, but as an entrepreneur. Dr. Janice Mays, who could not be with us tonight due to a death in her family, she was my first African-American professor. If my dad were here tonight, he would say, "Thank you, Dr. Mays, for opening a world of well-written Black authors." You see, my wife and I, he would say, put all our money together to send her to schools that were almost a 2-hour commute from where we lived, because we wanted to give her the best opportunity to have Syracuse become her alma mater. And at those schools, none of these authors were ever on her reading list. To Professor Levy, who's not here tonight, but was one of the former chairs of the Department of Biology, my dad would say to you tonight, Professor Levy, thank you for following my daughter's journey some 20 years later when she opened North Carolina's first ophthalmic plastic and reconstructive surgery center. He would say thank you for including her in your book. You see, that too was a first for her. She wouldn't know that I would soon close my eyes, and her inclusion in your book was how she ultimately got reconnected to the university through Fran Radel and the development office. I was welcomed back to the university on the Board of Visitors, and to Karin, Dean Ruhlandt, who's become a dear friend. If my dad were here tonight, he would say to you, thank you for standing with me and encourage me to further improve my skills on communicating. You see, I don't like to talk. Karin knows that. But on the day that I lost my brother, I was with Karin and the Board of Visitors in the Hall of Languages. And that's where it all began for me, at that building. Karin stood with me. This time I wasn't alone. Just a few months following that, she called me and said, I'm inviting you to be the keynote speaker at the Convocation for Arts and Sciences. And I thought she was nuts. I was like, I'm still grieving, are you kidding? And I believe my reply on the phone was, yikes, let me call you back. I believe that's exactly what I said. My father would say, thank you for helping my daughter to find her voice and to remember what I taught her, that although the clouds were low, he raised me to be an eagle. And I was to find that wind and fly high above that storm. And that, in fact, was the title of my message to the graduating class in 2017. To my sisters of the illustrious Delta Sigma Theta sorority, 3 of whom stand with me today and 2 whom I pledged with 30 years ago. If my dad were here tonight, he would say thank you for the beauty of being his surrogate daughters and for standing with me through my season. To Eric Logan, a dear friend, you didn't know my dad, but he would say to you, good sir, thank you for standing in the gap with her, and thank you for the joy that you've brought her days. So Chancellor, Syverud, the Board of Visitors, the nominating committee, the Alumni Board, to my Syracuse family, I stand here on behalf of my dad, and I thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to have made you proud. And he would say to me, young lady, you're done.
I spent a lot of time here as a kid at Fenway Park. It was really special. I knew at a young age I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and when I knew that's what I wanted to do, more than anything else, I wanted to be the voice of the Boston Red Sox. Every part of my experience at Syracuse University was tremendous. The most important thing that happened to me while I was there was the opportunity to broadcast the Syracuse Chiefs games while I was still in school. I think that's really what propelled me toward being able to be a Major League Baseball broadcaster here with the Red Sox when I was 25 years old. You know, when you get there, you know the list. You know, when I was there, it was Marty Glickman who started it, and it was Marv Albert and Dick Stockton and Bob Costas and some others.
You know, this whole idea of SU as the cradle of sports broadcasters is legitimate when you're around people with a like-minded interest in broadcasting, and it's kind of the cream of the crop because people gravitate toward it, then you make each other better. It's a fraternity. It's an ever-growing fraternity, but we're all really proud to be part of it.
And the ball is free! It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts-Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game! Unbelievable!
You talk to anybody in the sports world, I think it'd be hard to find a sportscaster, people in his field that don't say that Sean McDonough is one of the best broadcasters of our generation.
He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit! Just as the score of the tying run. Bream to the plate. And he is safe! Safe at the plate!
But I think what sets him apart isn't just his talent and his ability level. It's how he relates to people on a human level. He is an amazing storyteller. When we were all privileged enough to do the Syracuse-UConn 6 overtime game, I was a fanboy listening to him. And Bill Rafter and I, at the end of the game, the thing we were most proud of is that we didn't get in his way. We let an artist work.
In the corner, Adrian, no! Overtime number 6.
You know, for a guy that has been as successful as he has, he's always willing to give time. He's very generous with his money. Probably the first time I've ever said that. I hope he doesn't hear that. And he's just someone who's very selfless.
You know, ball one, strike one, that's the first down. That's not that important. You know, changing people's lives, that's important. I've listened to a lot of student broadcasters over the years. It's one of my favorite parts of going back to campus, to see the eagerness in them to learn and to achieve their goals and to achieve their dreams. I want to help them get to that point. You know, sometimes you have to have hard conversations too. You know, sometimes you have to say to them in a nice way, you know, perhaps producing would be a good thing for you. No offense.
I don't think there's any question that Sean loves Syracuse. He talks about it so fondly. There's nothing for Syracuse that Sean would not do.
There are no lists at Syracuse University about the impact of great people, not in sports, but in media, that can be complete without the name Sean McDonough.
I'm so proud of Syracuse. I love Syracuse. It was a huge part of my life, and it still is, and it always will be. So to be honored in this way by the university that I love, mindful of how many wonderful alumni we have all over the place, this is as meaningful to me as anything.
Dean Falkner, will you please present your honoree?
Chancellor Syverud, it is my great honor to present Sean McDonough, class of 1984, and celebrating his 35th reunion this weekend for the 2019 George Arents Award for Excellence in Sports Broadcasting.
Thank you, Dean Falkner. Alicia, I didn't see my video either. They wouldn't let us see it. I wish I had talked to you before you took calculus. I don't know if I'll still have the award after I tell this brief aside, but yeah, thank you, Dean. Thank you, Chancellor. I guess I get to keep it no matter what. But you may recall, I know you're much younger than I, but when I came here, and a lot of people in the room remember, they sent all the freshmen, one of your first days on campus, down to Manly to take the math placement test because everybody had to take a math. I see nods. So I asked around. I realized all I needed was the 3 credits in math.
It didn't have to be calculus or statistics. It could be any math that got 3 credits. So I might not have tried so hard on the math placement test and wound up in Algebra 101, which was awesome. So way before sports teams started tanking, I tanked the math test. Long ago, I came to realize that God has a plan for my life and that I should trust that He will lead me where I'm supposed to be. As an Irish Catholic boy, born in Boston, I grew up loving the Fighting Irish. And when I got to high school and was about to graduate, I desperately wanted to attend Notre Dame. But Notre Dame had a plan for my life. And it did not include them admitting me into their university. So I came to Syracuse University knowing in my mind that this was the right place for me. I wanted to know from a very young age, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and I was already well aware of the list of names that you just heard for Syracuse's reputation, well-deserved and well-established for turning out the very best in sports broadcasting. I wasn't on the beautiful campus on her hilltop high for very long when the heart that Notre Dame had broken was healed. It was clear to me that Syracuse was the right place for me. From the palpable spirit on campus that we all are experiencing this weekend, to the lessons learned in the classroom and in the Catholic Center from the late Father Charles Borgognoni, a Syracuse legend of all time, and in Hendricks Chapel, to the opportunities to get practical on-air experience at student radio station WAER and elsewhere in the Syracuse market. At what other university would I have had a chance to broadcast hundreds of baseball games one level below the major leagues before I was 22? That really is where it all started. I was really looking forward to seeing Don Waful tonight. There are a lot of us who owe a great deal of our lives to him. He didn't have to let student broadcasters broadcast the Syracuse Chiefs games, but he did. And he's a big reason why I'm standing here today, and my condolences to the family. And so wonderful that we honored him. And I got a text message today from Kevin Brown, who was the voice of the Chiefs as recently as 2 years ago, wanted to make sure that I knew Don had passed. And he said in his text, no one has ever lived a fuller life than Don Waful, and that's true. And I'm so glad that we're celebrating that tonight. Like any experience in life, the most important part of my time on campus was the people. I formed so many great friendships that last to this day, including with some who have made the effort to be here tonight. I thank you so much for the friendships that I have cherished for 35 years and more. And thank you so much for being here tonight. And it seems appropriate to me on the eve of one of the biggest football games ever played in the Dome to acknowledge the role that the late, great coach Dick McPherson played in my life. I had the privilege of working for him as a work-study student, a gopher, for 3.5 years. I learned a lot about football from Coach Mack, but I learned a lot more about life from watching him. I admired his faith. I admired what a wonderful family man he was. His daughter Janet is here tonight. Most of all, I marveled at the way he lived his life. I was on the bottom rung of the football office totem pole, but he treated me as if I was the most important person in his life because that's the way he treated everyone. Everyone was important to Coach Mack. Midway through my sophomore year, between semesters when I was home, I realized I couldn't afford to come back to Syracuse. So I called Coach Mack to tell him that, to say thank you for the opportunity to work with him and to say goodbye. The next day, I got a call from the university informing me that I was receiving an academic scholarship. It's not that funny. It's plausible. I was proud of my 2.4, if you added them together. I was a decent student. The algebra helped. I was an A. And you got to go independent study, so it was over in 6 weeks, which is even better. I hope we don't still have that way of picking a math class for the young people who are here tonight. But coincidentally, too, the amount of the scholarship was just a little bit more than I needed to cover my bill, and Coach Mack had asked me the day before how much I was short. So I called Coach Mack to thank him, because surely it could not have been a coincidence, and he, of course, said he had no idea what I was talking about. But he was glad I was staying at Syracuse, and so was I, because if it wasn't for Coach Mack, I wouldn't have stayed at Syracuse, I wouldn't have graduated from Syracuse. None of these things that we watched on the video professionally would have happened. I have no idea where my life would have taken me. I'm standing here today because Coach Mack took the time to care about somebody or something he didn't have to. God has a plan for my life, and Dick McPherson was at the heart of it, and he still is. God is love. Coach Mack is love. No one wore his faith more gracefully and with more ease than he did. I told myself if I was ever a public person, I was going to treat people the way Coach Mack treated everyone. It's an impossible standard to match, but I'm trying. My biggest role model was my dad, the legendary sports writer, the late, great Will McDonough. I knew from an early age, as I said, I wanted to do this for a living because I got to follow him around and watch as he covered sporting events. I could tell it was fun, and he loved it. When I was graduating from high school, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to be a sports writer or a sports broadcaster. He encouraged me to pursue broadcast journalism. 40 years ago, he saw that newspapers were just starting to struggle while cable TV was in its infancy. ESPN had just come on the air. Other sports networks were on the drawing board. My dad said there'll be a lot more opportunity in broadcasting. And those guys make a lot more money, he said, with a little bit of envy. He never worked at ESPN, so I'm not sure if that turned out to be true. That's a joke for my employers who are here tonight. It's not the Every Single Penny Network, as others have called it, but not me. And I would never repeat it. But he told me that Syracuse would be the perfect place for me, and as usual, he was right. Like Coach Mack, my dad provided the best example of how life should be lived, personally and professionally. And no offense to Newhouse, but I learned more about how to be a journalist and a reporter from him than I did from anything or anyone combined. I spent every day trying to make my dad as proud of me as I am of him, and I still do. And I know he is proud tonight. I'm fortunate to have an amazing family. I thank them for their love, support, guidance, and belief in me, and for being here in the good times like tonight, and in some tough times too. My sister Erin is the rock of our family. She's kind of taken Dad's place with that. And Michael, Jerry, Jody, Zach, Jeff, Rick, all my buddies who made the trip up from Boston to be here today, and everybody else in the Sean section, as the alumni office calls it. Thank you very much for being here. I love you all. I wish I had time to name you all. And now the ones I didn't name are going to say, why didn't you mention me? But they have name tags. And that's a good thing. They have a little clock that's ticking, but and it stopped on 001. It seems longer than that to me, and I'm not lying. It's 001. Anyway, when you arrive here as an aspiring sportscaster, you hope that someday your name will be on that list of great sportscasters out of SU, like Marty Glickman and Marv Albert and Bob Costas and Dick Stockton. And I don't know if I'm worthy of being included in that group, and I'm not trying to be falsely modest, but I'm certainly appreciative and excited every time that I am. But the greatness of Syracuse University is about much more than just sports broadcasters. We have 241,000 living alums all over the world who are doing incredible work in virtually all walks of life. That I was chosen from an enormous pool of men and women who bring honor to this university every day is deeply humbling, and as you've already seen, very emotional to me. To have my name on the list of distinguished Arents recipients back to 1939, alongside people who have represented our university with grace and class and character, and whose achievements, many of them internationally known, have made all of Orange Nation proud, and in particular to share this honor with Alicia and Mary, is something that I have not yet fully wrapped my mind around. And I'm pretty sure I know how this worked with the selection committee. All right, we have Alicia, we have Mary. We've already given it to the guy who invented the artificial heart, an astronaut, and so maybe McDonough, I don't know, but I'm sure I was the hard selection here tonight. Vince Lombardi wasn't the Packers' first choice either, so I'm just happy to be up there. I love Syracuse, I really do. Some may love it as much, nobody loves it more, I can promise you that. I owe so many of the best things that have happened to me in my life, both personally and professionally, to my time spent here as a student, to the connection I have maintained with the university to this day. It's my blessing to continue to serve the university on the advisory board of Hendricks Chapel, working with the great Reverend Brian Conkle, who's here tonight with his wife, Kristen. He has made our university better in numerous ways in the 2+ years that he has been here. Brian, I don't know where you are, but if you could give a wave. Thank you very much, and thanks for all you're doing for Syracuse University. Thank you, Brian. Brian's become a great friend and a mentor to me. To our great Chancellor, Kent Syverud, our university's always been great, but boy, is it on the move, and thanks for everything that you are doing to make that so. To the committee members who selected me, Carla and her group, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's tremendously uplifting to know that the university that I am so proud to have graduated from feels this way about me. God has a plan for my life, and I'm so grateful to him that Syracuse has been a huge part of it for nearly 40 years, ever since I arrived on our beautiful campus on her hilltop high. Congratulations to all the other honorees. It's humbling to know, as somebody who speaks for a living, that this will be the least profound speech of the night. I have been overwhelmed by what we've already heard. Congratulations to you all. Thank you to all of you for being here tonight. God bless you all, and go Orange. I can't say that tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I wanted to major in music. I've always loved music my whole life and got a scholarship to Syracuse University for the music school. I played the bassoon here, which was an unusual instrument, very scarce. I had only played the bassoon for a year in high school, so I spent 5 to 6 hours a day in the practice rooms downstairs, just really learning how to play it so I could play in the orchestra.
Syracuse was the perfect place for her because it was a small school of music and there were opportunities for each student to go beyond just the performing, just the classroom, into building their own groups, advertising them, marketing them, and performing in them.
Mary graduated from the College of Visual and Performing Arts. That was a great background for what she was about to do. The platform to be able to go out and speak in public and do the things that she ended up doing.
When I left Syracuse University, I taught music for a couple of years. Then I got into direct marketing for the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra, and I had some wonderful experiences with like Arthur Fiedler would come to spend 2 or 3 weeks with the symphony every year, and I drove him everywhere and spent a lot of time with him, and that was a great experience. After 7 years of doing that, I became the marketing manager for the first cable system in the city of Syracuse. And from '78 to 2008, I was in the cable television business. Well, first of all, the cable television industry was new, and it was very exciting. You know, people were waiting to get it. So I really loved being in the industry where you were giving the customers something that they really wanted.
The employees grew to love her. She rewarded her employees. She was there for them.
I really hired the best people I could get and then let them run their departments.
She was head of the Syracuse division at Time Warner. She was president of the division for many years. And it was the best division in Time Warner. And it was that way because of Mary and because of Mary's relationships with the customer and Mary's relationship with the employees.
I think she's a great leader.
whether she's doing community work, nonprofit work, or running a business. She has the ability to lead.
I think serving on boards and helping others is a part of giving back. I mean, when you are in a position, again, with your company especially, to give back and help nonprofit organizations, you have really got an obligation to do that.
And not only was it Mary getting involved, she knew how to get others involved and others of importance in this community.
Well, I learned from an early age from my parents about the importance of giving back. I've always, enjoyed being active in the community and doing whatever I could do to help others. I have been on the VP Advisory Board since its beginning. It's my school, so I love it. I'm the vice chair now. I think we're moving forward in a very special way right now. And I did major in music education. I didn't stay in music education, but I wouldn't trade that music education degree at Syracuse for anything in the world.
Dean Tick, will you please present your honoree?
Chancellor Syverud, it's my great honor to present Mary Cotter, class of 1969, and celebrating her 50th reunion this weekend for the 2019 George Arents Award for Excellence in Business.
Can't believe it's 50 years. And I am the last thing standing before you and the party. I get it. I'm sticking to my 3 minutes and I'll be out of here. Thank you, Michael, so much for that. And thank you, Chancellor Syverud and Dr. Chen, for this very, very special honor. Again, I didn't see that, so a lot of my remarks have already been set up there, but I'm going to go with it anyway. And as you saw from that beautifully produced video, I came to Syracuse University to study music and to pursue my childhood dream of becoming a music teacher. I did teach music to grades K through 6 for 2 years after I got out of college, until my career took a very, very different path. After several years as marketing and public relations director for the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra, I entered the world of cable television. Cable TV was definitely in its infancy then, and the internet and streaming video did not exist. It was an exciting time to be involved in that industry, and I thank my lucky stars every single day for meeting Bob Myron back then, and he's sitting right here. With no experience in the industry, he took a chance on me, and he subsequently became a very important mentor and a very, very dear friend, as did his wife, Diane, who, as a longtime wonderful school teacher, developed cable in the classroom in our division, and very successfully upstate. As most careers do, I started in sales and really worked my way up, escalated through many positions over the years, culminating in oversight of one of Time Warner's largest divisions in the country in upstate New York. We had over 600,000 customers. I had over 1,500 employees in 20 different locations. And so we were all the way from the Canadian border to Pennsylvania, and it was a very diverse, complicated division. And as Bob Myron taught me, the most important part of running any business is customer service. So just developing the culture with those 1,500 employees in all those different locations was a challenge, and I think we did a really good job at it. I also credit much of my success to people like Mike Falcone, who spent so much time with me and taught me so much about building buildings and maintaining them. I always remember going to Mike at one point and I said, okay, we've got 5 buildings in the Syracuse area. I got people in all of them, I gotta get them in one. But the Albany division just got rejected for putting up a building. And I said, Mike, you gotta help me figure this out. And I said, you can have the 5 buildings. I've gotta keep my cash flow even and you gotta tell me how to do this. So Mike and I sat down, we put together a plan. And he did take my 5 buildings. He built me a beautiful building, which you see on the thruway if you go by it. And he maintained it for us beautifully.
And so I called Time Warner and I said, we want to come and present this. And I always do that in December. If you ever want anything, you got to ask for it in December. Everybody's in a good spirit. And they said, no, you don't have to come down, just give us the proposal. I said, no, you don't understand. We've been working on this for 6 months. We want to come and present it. So finally, my boss, Tom Rutledge, who now runs Charter Communications, said, I'll tell you what, give me the plan. If I reject it, then you can come. And I said, done. And of course, we did build the building. And I thank Mike so much for that. That's the kind of people you need when you are doing things that you know nothing about. I don't know about buildings. So I had a lot of help in my career. But anyway, while my 30 years in the cable TV business were wonderful and rewarding, I would not trade my music degree from Syracuse University for anything in the world. My 4 years here at SU prepared me so well for the fast-paced, complicated corporate world that I was about to walk into. And the endless hours that I spent in the basement of Krause College, in those little practice rooms, learning to play that bassoon so that I could play as well as Dave Ross, who's sitting right back here, my colleague, really taught me anything is possible, because I could not play that. And Louis Krasner, if you remember, was the conductor of the orchestra at the time, and he was not easy. So I had to learn. I had no choice. So I think that the discipline and the tenacity that you develop when you go through those things, and that you do learn that anything is possible, and I think they shaped me personally and professionally for the rest of my life. I also spent most of my time during my 4 years here with Father Borgognoni at the Newman Center. I was president of the Newman Association for most of the time I was here. And that really kind of set the stage for my lifelong dedication to volunteerism. And I have people like Noreen Falcone, who has always been such an inspiration to me about giving back. I always say I've never seen Noreen anywhere when she isn't giving somebody something or wheeling somebody in a chair or doing something for somebody. She's just, and I've always admired that. So I learned a lot from people like that. So thank you to all of you who contributed to my rewarding life and to my being up here on this stage tonight. Thank you to Chancellor Syverud and Dr. Chen, who I have really gotten to know quite well and for whom I have so much respect for both of you. And I've told them that. I think they know that. Thank you to the Alumni Committee, to Matt Termolin, Corey Miller, Francis D. Clement, who put together the video, and his staff. They did such a wonderful job, and they were very patient with me this summer as I had some time constraints. So I appreciate that. And especially thank you to Dean Michael Tick, who is right here. And I thank you, Michael, for what you're doing for our college. I am so excited. Your vision and enthusiasm are so contagious, and I am so excited and thrilled to be working with you as vice chair of the advisory board with such exciting plans that we have going forward with VPA. And finally, just thank you to Syracuse University and Krause College for being the wonderful places that you are and for being my home for 4 of the most important and formative years of my life. This honor is very, very special, and I cherish it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you to all of our honorees this evening. How about another round of applause for all of our different honorees? And just some beautiful, heartfelt speeches. That was really a pleasure to sit and listen this evening. As we conclude the evening, I would like to invite Student Association President Makenzie Mertikas, a member of the class of 2020, to the stage to share a reflection on her experience as a Syracuse University student. And thank you, Makenzie, for helping us present our awards this evening.
Thank you, Don. I don't know that I've ever been more proud to be a member of the Orange family. I'm a senior studying public relations and political science, and I remember the first time I visited campus. It was October of my senior year of high school. I walked onto the campus, I gazed up at the Hall of Languages, and I just knew. I'm sure many of you can share a very similar story. Later that day, I visited the bookstore with my mom, and she asked me, "So, what do you think?" My response was simple. "Mom, we should just buy everything in here now. I know I'm going here." It's so emotional for me to be here for my final year at Syracuse. But I know, and it's been reaffirmed tonight, that Orange will be forever ingrained in me. This past summer, my internship held a lunch and learn for all of the interns. At one point, they showed a slide with several different faces and asked us what all of these faces had in common. They were all graduates of our respective schools, and they encouraged us each to reach out to the alumni we saw on the screen. Well, the face on the screen representing Syracuse was Mike Tirico. And thanks to Syracuse, I'd already met him. It had been just a few weeks prior at a Board of Trustees meeting. Mike had done his own research on me, and he sought me out. He was excited to meet me because, like me, he had been a dual major in Newhouse and Maxwell. That was one of the coolest feelings, ever. As Student Association President, my focus for the year ahead will be making Syracuse an even better place for students for the next 150 years and beyond. A bright future for Syracuse matters to me for a lot of reasons, but the biggest one is this. I have a little sister, and I can't think of a better place for her than Syracuse University. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this evening, and go Orange.
Thank you, Makenzie, and it's clear that our Syracuse University student body is in excellent hands under your leadership. As our evening concludes, I'm going to bring Orange Appeal back up to the stage to sing the alma mater, and stand if you can, and join in if you know the words. Sing really, really loud. Take it away. Thank you, Orange Appeal. Before our evening comes to a close, please join me in a final round of applause for all of tonight's honorees. Generation Orange, Eggers, the inaugural Military Veteran Award, and the Arents Award winners. One more round of applause for them all. For those of you joining us, we will continue the celebration over live music, desserts, and plenty of Orange pride right outside the atrium and ballroom next door. Thank you for being with us this evening. Good night. We'll see you all tomorrow in the Dome. Go Orange.